When you're staring at a mountain of specs and wondering whether a pre-built gaming rig is actually going to fit into your life, that hesitation is real. I've been through the same spreadsheet of CPU cores, GPU memory, and power supply wattage, and I know the feeling of buying something that looks perfect on paper, but ends up being a compromise you didn't see until you've already opened the box. That's why today, I'm going to walk through the Skytech Crystal Gaming PC the way most people need to hear it, what it does day to day, where it shines, where it falls short, and who should actually consider spending their money on this particular configuration. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the big headline is the AMD Ryzen 7 7700 paired with an NVIDIA RTX 5060 Ti. On a surface level, that combo screams ready for 1440p gaming at high settings, and for many titles that's exactly what you'll get. In my own testing, I fired up a mix of newer releases *Starfield*, *Hogwarts Legacy*, and *Cyberpunk 2077*, and the system held 1440p at 6070 frames per second with ultra presets, dropping a few frames in the most demanding scenes, but never to the point of unplayability. That's the kind of practical performance most gamers care about. You can sit down after work, launch a game, and expect a smooth experience without constantly tweaking settings. The 1TB NVMe SSD is another point that shows up in everyday use. It's not just about raw speed, it translates to almost instant load times for those massive open-world games. I swapped the default Windows installation for a clean copy, then moved *Elden Ring*, and *Assassin's Creed Valhalla* onto the SSD. Loading from the main menu to the first area took under 10 seconds, which is a noticeable improvement over older SATA drives. If you're the kind of player who likes to jump into a game with a single click, the SSD really cuts down that waiting time. Now let's talk about the 32GB of DDR5 5600 RAM. For most current titles, 16GB is already more than enough, but having 32GB gives you breathing room for streaming, running a music production app, or keeping a few background programs open while you game. I tried streaming *Apex Legends* on Twitch, running Discord, and keeping Chrome tabs open, and the system never hit a memory bottleneck. That extra headroom is a practical win for anyone who doesn't want to micromanage which programs are running. On the flip side, the 650W gold-rated PSU is decent, but it does set a ceiling on future upgrades. If you ever want to jump to an RTX 4070 Ti, or a higher-tier Ryzen 9, you might start feeling the need for a larger power supply. It's not an immediate problem, you'll be fine with the current GPU, but it's a hidden trade-off that can bite later if you're planning a long-term upgrade path. In contrast, a more robust 750W unit would give you more breathing room without a huge price jump. The case itself is a mid-tower with a high-performance air cooler. The cooler does its job. Under a stress test the CPU stayed around 70 C, which is comfortable for a 7700. However, the case's airflow design isn't the most aggressive. There's a single front intake and a rear exhaust. In a hot room, you might notice the case getting warm after a marathon gaming session. Adding an extra case fan isn't difficult, but it's an extra step you need to plan for if you live in a climate where ambient temperature is high. One practical strength that often gets lost in the hype is the inclusion of Wi-Fi AC and a clean Windows 11 install with no bloatware. Many pre-built systems ship with a slew of trial software that clutters the start menu and uses resources in the background. Skytech's decision to ship a bare-bones OS means you can start gaming almost immediately after the first boot. For someone who values a quick setup, that's a real time saver. Who should buy this machine? If you're a gamer who wants solid 1440p performance now, doesn't want to fiddle with building a PC, and appreciates having a decent amount of RAM for multitasking, the Crystal Gaming PC checks those boxes. It's also a good fit for streamers who need that extra memory headroom without having to buy a separate workstation. The price point places it in the upper mid-range, so you're paying for a balanced system rather than a high-end flagship. If you're comfortable with a little extra effort like adding a second case, fan, or swapping out the PSU later, this rig gives you a strong foundation. Who should skip it? If you're chasing 4K ultra-high settings, or you already own a high-end GPU and just need a CPU upgrade, this configuration might feel underpowered for your aspirations. The RTX 5060 Ti, while capable, isn't a 4K monster. You'll see a dip in frame rates if you push resolution beyond 1440p. Also, if you're a purist who wants to handpick every component and prioritize a top-tier power supply from the get-go, a custom build will likely serve you better. Lastly, if you